Okay, we are now recording. I have to say the disclaimer to say that nothing in this interview is a buy or sell investment advice. Today, it's my pleasure to the collective to have Jonathan Bixby from Cykel AI. Welcome.
Thank you.
Don't know a lot about, but you're IPOing tomorrow on the AQUIS. So take it away, Jonathan. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Frank. Thanks for the opportunity to chat with your group today. So why don't I start by just giving a quick background of myself, and then I'll walk through the evolution of the business, and obviously very excited to be IPOing tomorrow on the AQUIS market. So quick background on myself is I've been an entrepreneur for about 22 years. Started my career in Web 1.0, if you will, so late 90s, early 2000s. Have sold about 10 companies to other companies, including a number of public companies. Have done 10 IPOs, so this will be my 10th IPO, which is kind of a milestone, which is pretty cool. I've built $2 billion businesses and have raised about $700 million US of funding. And so I've been around for a whole bunch of trends, internet trends, secular trends, including Web 1.0, mobile, SaaS, you name it, crypto. I've seen it, and I've never seen an opportunity as large as what I'm seeing in the AI market right now. So the evolution of the business, the sort of founding story, if you will, is like many of you back in November of last year, I heard about ChatGPT. I went on ChatGPT. I played around with it. My children played around with it. And what I quickly realized in playing with it was it was cool. It was a big brain. I could search up things that Wikipedia couldn't answer as well as ChatGPT. And I kind of thought about it at the end of the day, like it's kind of Wikipedia with Grammarly. It helps me write. It helps me think. What I really wanted to do is to have it do something for me. And so as someone who's digitally native, like probably many of your listeners, what I realized was that most of the time I am spending a large percentage of my day doing digital tasks, repetitive digital tasks. So if you put yourself into the shoes of a salesperson, for example, I want to be out prospecting and talking to my clients. I don't want to be spending time on salesforce.com and filling out the CRM. And so the idea really came, which is what if you could put hands or digital hands to that big brain? What could happen? And so Cykel, very, very simple, is it's digital hands that allows knowledge workers to automate tasks that they had to do manually before Cykel came out. Best example of that is a sales team. I can automate adding you, Frank, into my CRM and inviting you to my webinar next Wednesday with one very, very simple text or voice prompt. And that's what Cykel is going to enable businesses to do. So we are a B2B play. We are a pure play AI company. So we are built on top of the AI models that you've heard of, ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude. And we can talk about some of the nuances of why that's important. But we are the first pure play AQUIS listing. I think there's going to be a massive demand from an inventory perspective in small cap on AI companies, which is another area we could dive into. But the reality is, if you want to invest into AI, you can't get into ChatGPT. You're not getting into Anthropic's latest round. And if you want to play the AI revolution, which I think, frankly, is larger than the Web 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0 put together, I think Cykel is the company.
Okay. So what sort of backing have you had, Jonathan? I mean, what is your market cap when you IPO tomorrow? Funding, revenue? What can you tell us about these numbers?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually been a really interesting journey for us, right? So as you know, small cap has been a tough place to be, both in terms of liquidity and pricing over the last 18 to 24 months. Tough is probably an understatement. We went out to raise about £1 million for this opportunity, and surprising, but maybe not surprising, we raised about 2.5x that number. So total, we've raised in terms of a usable cash about 2.25 million pounds. That cash is all still in the kitty. We have developed out the product, so we can talk a little bit about product development, but we will be in the market by Q1 of next year. So we are early stage opportunity, and the valuation ongoing public is our IPO was done at 3p, which puts us at roughly, I think, 4 to 5 million pre-money on that deal.
Okay. So, on the perspective, is this going to be something rolled out in the Canadian market first, or is it the US or UK or global? What are you going to be doing first of all?
Yeah, I think this is a global opportunity. So we are a UK PLC. We are on AQUS. We are, and if you look at the track record of some of the companies I've done, Argo Blockchain being a great example of this, we took off from 3p to £3 because we listed on OTC. You probably remember that story a couple of years ago. I was the founder of that business as well. We started taking off because of OTC, and we plan to do exactly the same thing here. So we are UK business selling into a global market, are going to go to the OTC, and then very shortly thereafter look at an uplist to a senior exchange. Okay.
So what is there's a lot of AI talk. I mean, everybody wants AI. If you sell sausages, it's got to have something connected with AI. It's getting it's quite a crowded market now, isn't it? Really, Jonathan. Where's your ISP? Where do you stand in this market? Is it a crowded market that you're trying to get into, or is it some sort of unique space? What sort of numbers are you aiming at, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, great question, Frank. So I think if you look at the market, you have to think about it as yes, everyone's talking about it, kind of like sex. Actually, everyone's talking about it, but not that many people are doing it. And so the way to think about the market is I think the way to think about it is that most of the big companies, ChatGPT is a good example, Anthropic, the probably most direct comp for us is a company called Adept out of Silicon Valley. All of these guys, I think, are taking this Web 1.0 approach. And when I take a Web 1.0 approach, what that means is I am building out, like take Webvan as an example, which was not a successful Web 1.0 company. But the idea was these guys were all building out heavy iron databases, interconnect, and most of these companies are raising hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to build out the underlying natural language models. I think that's a fundamental mistake. We are not doing that. We think ChatGPT and Claude, as two good examples, are incredible models that have billions of dollars in them. And like Amazon Web Services, we're going to piggyback off the shoulders of those giants. So what's happening is you're seeing a lot of crowding into what I call sort of the layer one, the underlying natural language models. That's not where this business is going to be won. This business is going to be won by going to customers, listening to them, and solving real customer problems. So if you want to differentiate us, we are not trying to solve the underlying AI model problem. We're trying to solve customer problems. So I think our differentiator is we are going to go to market like I've done in many of the companies I've built, listen to customers and sign deals and get revenue, which amazingly is, I think, the trick to building a great company. So our goal is to solve customer problems using those underlying models. We are not trying to recreate the wheel. And the models that we are seeing, I'll just give you a good example, the cost of those models have fallen 50 to 60% even in the last 6 months. So the underlying cogs of our business are getting cheaper and cheaper while our clients are willing to pay for us to solve business problems. I think we're going to have an incredibly high margin business as a result of that.
So you say our clients, what sort of people are you, or who are you having conversations with at this very moment that say, hey, Jonathan, I really like what you're doing? And I mean, you've got some pedigree there. You've mentioned ARB. It's not doing so well now, but it might do if Bitcoin goes up.
It's happening again. It's happening again, Frank. But yes, correct. Yeah.
Buy ARB, yeah. But buy Bitcoin.
I am a long-term believer in Bitcoin. Yes,
Are you?
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a skeptic, but I've got loads of people that have been buying Bitcoin in the last few days. They think it's going to sort of balloon from $34,000. I don't know what your take on that is. Just a side shoot, because obviously I have tech followers on that as well. What's your feelings on Bitcoin?
Yeah, my feelings on Bitcoin is it's the largest secular trend in the money business. I think there's a store of value. I think there's network effects that we're seeing on that. I think if you sort of look at it, it was the canary in the coal mine in terms of risk off back 2 years ago. It was the first thing that fell. It's the first thing coming back. Why is risk on? Because debt is getting refinanced and they can't keep interest rates where they're at. So as interest rates come down, risk capital comes back into the market. That's actually, frankly, why I'm so excited, just to pivot back to the cycle idea, is I'm seeing with the IPO that we just did and the early stage appetite for what we're doing, I am seeing early stage green shoots in the market that I haven't seen for 18 to 24 months.
Yes.
I think we're seeing the start of something really interesting. I think risk is going to come back on. That's obviously, coming back to your question, going to affect risk assets like BTC.
Have you ever thought of introducing crypto as a form of payment or something in what you're doing, or is it still too volatile?
Yeah, I think it's probably still too volatile. And again, I think, obviously personally, I have enough exposure in the crypto space through NFT investments as well as my holdings in the BTC space. I think what I'm seeing on the Cykel side is just coming back to one of the first questions you asked, which is like every sales team I talk to, every real estate agent I talk to, everyone running an e-commerce site tells me they're spending 30 to 40% of their time on repetitive digital tasks. And when I say, what if I could take away, and let's not get too ahead of ourselves, what if I could take away 10% to start and 15 and 20? What's that worth to you and your team? And the answer is a ton of money. And so for me, the opportunity here is, even if I come into your organization, you're a high performing sales team, and I can make you 5 to 10% more effective and more efficient, and talking to 5 to 10% more leads, you are going to pay for this product. And the margin for us, because the underlying language models are getting cheaper and cheaper, is really significant.
So you're saying that all of this revenue starting is going to be Q1 2024. And I'm sorry, because I did say that I sort of talked about the crypto, and I think I didn't give you a chance to answer the question. What major people have you had interested, or because obviously we're coming up to November, it's only 2 months, so you obviously got to start getting people on board. Have you got a big team behind you, or what can you tell me?
Yeah, for sure. So we are a building team. I think what's really cool about our opportunity is we actually have AI behind us. So I'm building pipeline using we like to eat our own dog food. So we're actually building pipeline using our own product. So my sales team is going to be lean. My marketing team is going to be lean, because I can rely on the AI that we've developed at Cykel to expand and make those teams more efficient. So that's step number one. Step number two is, I think this is a massive opportunity on the partnership side. So every single one of the major providers, whether that's Shopify, Amazon, Salesforce, Microsoft, Google, they all have SDKs. They all have the ability to partner with them so they can drive more value to their ecosystems. So what you're going to see out of us is a whole bunch of partnership opportunity in Cykel. And you're also going to see direct sales. And that direct sales and marketing, as I said before, will be driven by our scalable AI team.
So have you set yourself any numbers or financial targets that you're looking to achieve? So you're starting in January. What would you like to? What are you aiming for in the first 6 months, 12 months?
Yeah, so we, as a public company, as you know, going into an IPO, we don't put out sort of guidance on numbers like that. What I can tell you is our goal is to have dozens and dozens of customers as we move the product into market. And our goal is to have, single digit to double digit partnership opportunities that have been signed, sealed, and delivered, and obviously announced to the market in the first 6 months.
Okay. So how are you going to get the revenue? How is this going to work? Because I'm trying to understand, do people pay you a subscription, or is it based on an individual company? You'll go in and say this, that, and this. How are you going to get your revenue?
Yeah, so our go-to-market is a partnership-driven freemium model. And so what that means is, Frank, you're a sales guy in your organization. You hear about us through our direct marketing or through a partner. You try it. You look at it and say, oh my goodness, I like this. And you invite your buddy who's sitting across at the other desk. The goal ultimately is like a Slack SaaS model, which is you love it so much, you tell your friend, enough friends get on it, and you have a very easy sale to the VP sales or the CFO of an organization. And then we will triage or tier our product based on usage. So our underlying COGS are based on usage. We are going to pass that on to a customer with obviously a significant markup. And so it will be based on the number of tasks that you accomplish through Cykel on a monthly basis. The goal is to do annualized contracts at the enterprise level, but we're going up through sales teams, realtors, and e-commerce.
So what sort of size companies are you looking at for, like, say, is it a 500 people working, 1,000, 5,000? You wouldn't want a one-man band, would you, or two, or 10? Or what are you specifically hoping to target?
Yeah, so we're sort of thinking about it in terms of the pain points. So from our side, it would be, do you have a sales team of, say, 5 people? And obviously a sales team of 5 can sell millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands, but you need to have a small team at least to get through and offer that kind of value. So to your point, no one-man bands. We're going to be looking at SMBs. I think there's a huge opportunity at the enterprise as well. My guess on the enterprise level sales is going to go through the partnerships. And that's why that partnership channel sales channel is so important to us.
And have you got any numbers for the US and UK potential? Have you done any research?
Yeah, I mean, we've done tons of research. The total addressable market is blow your mind large in terms of how large this market could be. So in the billions, globally, and obviously AI as a market is probably the fastest growing market we've ever seen. It's already, tens of billions, growing at a 45% CAGR over the next 8 to 10 years. Like, it is the biggest, largest market in tech we've ever seen.
Okay. So is the app actually ready now in testing, or you're going through a process and then it will be ready in Q1 2020?
No, it is ready. I'm technology first. So we are ready to go. We are in final testing. It's working on Salesforce. It's working in Google. It's working in Shopify, like that. So it is working in a number of areas. Now it's time to get our first beta customers. And like I said, do a full launch early in Q1.
So, Jonathan, I suppose before I open the floor, there's only a few online, but obviously It's recorded to go out to the masses. What makes you think, you've got pedigree, you've stated that, why do you think that this is going to be a success like the rest? And you clearly have done very well off, whatever. Why are you doing this? Is just you love what you do?
You should ask my wife that question in therapy.
Yeah.
Why do I do this? Because I love building and I love scaling companies. So for me, it's when I see an opportunity like AI and I think about the amount of value I can build for shareholders and build for myself. Frankly, I'm not, I'm not Gandhi in all of this. I think the opportunity is unprecedented. Like, I've been around for every big web trend, including crypto. This is bigger than crypto. Like, this is just an absolute change in how we live our lives. And businesses are going to go this way. And when I see something that's so inevitable, I have to do it. Like, that's just the way I'm programmed. So the reason I do it is because I have to do it, because you don't get opportunities like this very often. In fact, I would argue this is the biggest one that I've ever seen and worked on, and I've been in this business for 22 years. So that's number one. And then number two, I think what sets us apart is, like you said, we've done it. And frankly, public markets have driven so much value in these early stage companies. Crypto is a great example of that, right? All the miners that went public, Riot, Marathon, Argo, all built up multi-billion-dollar businesses. I think to get into the market early, to have a shareholder that can make money moving up and then raise institutional money, uplist to a senior exchange, like that is the way you build big companies. And I'm interested in building a $3 billion company here.
So you're thinking really big. How the share capital? Have you got a large stake in this?
I am the largest shareholder of the business, and if you've seen through all my other businesses, I am a long-term holder. I like to build value, and frankly, until we get to large numbers, I'm not interested in selling. Yes.
And what percentage have you got?
I think post IPO, I will be sitting somewhere, don't quote me on it, but somewhere around the 10 to 15% mark.
Okay, and you won't be selling those in the first 12 months for sure.
Well, clearly I'm locked up, and if you look at my history of building businesses in the UK and Canada, I'm not a seller. That's not the game.
Are you gonna take a wage, or are you going to put? You're so confident. Are you going to say, right, I'm not going to draw any money to the share prices at this price or the market cap? What are you doing in that regard?
Yeah, so my goal is actually to bring in a managing director of the business who will be drawing that salary. So the goal is to build a team under me. I'm the executive chairman of the business. I am not an operator. I'm good at getting the business to a certain point. I need to build a company with a true operational leader. In fact, all morning I was spending time interviewing managing directors. There are a couple of incredible, hungry, AI-driven candidates that will come and run this business.
So the market cap is going to be, did you say 30 million tomorrow?
No, it's going to be, well, tomorrow it might go to 30 million. We are going to start trading at 3p and I think that values us somewhere between 4 and 5. But obviously, look at Adept. Adept raised 350 for the same idea at $1 billion valuation. So if you look at our comps compared to all the other AI comps you're seeing, this is a ground floor opportunity to get exposure into the AI market.
Yeah, well, I can't remember what Streak floated at, but I'm sure they were 30, 35. So you're well down there. You're well down there.
Goal is to reward early believers. That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, I might get some myself. Anybody want to ask any questions?
I've got a quick question. Sorry, John.
Go on, yeah, I'll go first. Yeah, hi, Jonathan. How you doing?
Hey.
Quick question. What's your competition, and what's going to stop someone like, say, Microsoft or Google, doing exactly the same? Because that's always my worry with anything like this. You've got the big players out there. What's to stop them looking at you and thinking, well, we can do that, and just, what's your competition going to be?
Yeah, so great question, John. I think my experience of dealing with big tech companies is, yes, they are going to dabble in this space. This is the answer I would give you is this is not their core competency, nor is it core to their product. I think so. What I think we're going to start to see is people announcing product in this space, and we're already starting to see that, obviously, with some of the big guys. I think the largest competitor out there is going to be Adept, and Adept has raised 350. But as I mentioned earlier to Frank, I think what's going to start to happen is those guys are building the underlying plumbing, and they're going to have their heads down for 2 years doing it. They're not going to go to market for a long period of time. So big guys are going to come into the space. Typically, if you look at how big companies like Salesforce and Microsoft and Amazon play in space, they dabble and then they buy. And when they buy, they all buy. And so what I think you're going to start to see is a massive acquisition sprint in the next 24 to 36 months. And if we position ourselves well, adding value to customers, we would be a prime target for something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's great. And just one more question. Is there any reason you didn't list on AM?
Yeah. So one is time to listing. So when I mentioned earlier that we are looking to uplist to a senior exchange, obviously AIM, LSE, NASDAQ are the short list there. And so part of this was I just had this feeling about risk. As I mentioned earlier, risk is coming back on. I wanted to get public quickly. AQUIS allows us to do that and co-list on, and do an OTC listing at the same time. And I wanted that OTC listing and that US exposure as fast as I possibly could get it. And this is the way to do it.
Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, Jonathan.
No problem. No problem.
I just had one. Sorry, Frank. John, how do you see AI compared to like internet in the 90s? And could it potentially ignite a stock market rally in itself, or a bull market in itself? With lots of companies that are being built today starting to IPO, and there just being a complete craze around it, akin to
that is no question. Yeah, Huey, that is my thesis. My thesis is you are going to see another .com on the AI side of things. We're seeing it on the private side right now in the US and Canada. I'm an investor into a bunch of VCs, so I'm an LP into VCs. You just can't understand the amount of froth on this on the private side. It just has coincided with this unbelievable lack of liquidity and risk off on the small cap side. So I'm seeing this confluence of events, which is I'm seeing every day these deals on the private side getting bid up at crazy valuations. On the public side, I'm starting to see risk on. And if you combine those two things together, you have serious fire. And that's what I'm starting to see in the market.
And what's the catalyst? Is it like, do we need a real blue chip IPO on the NASDAQ for the stock market to start to take notice of smaller AI plays, I guess?
I think we need inventory. I mean, if you look around and you say to yourself as a private investor, I want exposure into AI, you could get into NVIDIA, you can get into the big Microsofts, Googles, Amazons of the world. There's not enough inventory in the market yet. So I'm trying to be a catalyst to that. I don't think it's going to take a big IPO. I think it's going to take inventory and people seeing value creation.
Okay. Thank you.
So just a couple of things before we finish, Jonathan, and I hope that you come back. This is like start of the book. You've given us an introduction. I really hope that you come back and we're going through this chapter of development, and I'm sitting at the end of it because I think I will buy a few. Actually, I'm not prompting anyone, but just stick a few in and see what it goes. Especially as you've got pedigree and you said about ARB as well. I mean, that is just amazing. There's obviously reasons why it failed, etc., but it doesn't matter. You got something to a high standard, and you've done what you needed to do, and you could quite easily do this. And I generally feel that I don't know the technology, but I'm hearing you, and I hear your confidence, and I think I want to go through this journey, and I hope that you come back. So this AQUSE, the liquidity is really bad. I don't know if you know much about the AIMS market, but it's at its pretty at its lowest. And when Huey's talking about the .com boom and the AI boom, I think once the market has decided which direction that it's going to go, then I think we're going to have this massive AI boom. And
yep.
Hopefully you're going to be up there. Am I about right on that? And would you look to go to the AIMS market if you progress quite well? Because obviously, because of the AQUIS liquidity situation.
Short answer is we would always look at potential uplist to a senior exchange. So the answer is always that makes sense. For me, the driver was OTC and getting into the US market, and the AQUIS market allows me to do that very effectively and quickly, frankly. And then the last point, which is sort of the first thing, is my favorite conversations in the world, Frank, are like this, where I've got this vision, I want to build something. And I love sort of even putting it on a YouTube channel for posterity and saying, hey guys, on this date in October, I told you about this business. I told you about the vision. I told you what we were trying to do. I'd love to come back in a year and revisit that. That's my favorite part of building a business because as you can tell, I'm pretty excited about this one.
And Frank Jones was there
And
interviewing.
supporting. That's right. Love it.
Great. Everyone I interview, I want to see do well, and this is what it is, a relaxed thing. And let's hope that you come on. I don't know, Q1, Q2, or whenever you feel necessary, and start singing, and let's see where this goes. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
I would love to. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.